Hi again, everyone. In this movie, I'm going to do a little bit of drawing and give some drawing tips as I do, and then show you some of the advanced pattern tools and controls in Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with my pen tool, and I want to draw a line that is going to be a curvy bottom of a jellyfish kind of a shape or line. So to do that, I want to show you the movement that you do with your hand, and that is click up, click and drag up, and then move over, click and drag down, and then move over and click and drag up, and move over and click and drag down. Here I'll go a little closer. Click and drag up, click and drag down, and click and drag up. Now, what I have at the bottom here is this wavy line, which is similar to the one I drew up here, but not as severe or not as steep. And I'm going to continue to draw this shape now for the top of the jelly, dragging out using the idea of the 1/3 rule, that the amount that I drag from the anchor point to the direction line is approximately 1/3 of the total curve I'm trying to draw. And that helps to make smoother curves. And you can see here that the two direction lines or direction handles are not equal. I could adjust them so this second handle is less steep and this first handle is more steep, making them more or less each 1/3 of the total curve here. I'm going to move this line. I'm using the direct selection tool, and I do have an extra point here I probably don't need. To get the smoothest curve, you want the fewest amount of points, and here I'll delete the anchor point. And now I need to adjust the handles. Again, using this 1/3 rule, that this handle I'm dragging out, the distance of it from its anchor point to the end of its direction line is about 1/3 of the total curve. So there we have it. I'm going to lower the height of my top of my jellyfish, and these two jellyfish look really different. If I want to make the curves here less steep, I will need to pull these handles back in and shorten their lengths. And I like the way they are more organic and not so perfect. I think that makes them look more friendly and real, not so cartoony, though I'm trying to create something that's very simple. I don't want it to look silly. Here I have a bumpy shape that I want to smooth, and for that I like to use the smooth tool. And I could even remove this extra point here and have this tentacle coming from this point. So I'll remove this point. Oh, looks like there's another. Now I've removed a couple of points, and the last fine tune I'll do will make this area thicker where it looks very thin by adjusting the position of the anchor points and pulling on the direction lines. This one here has a funky little twist in it, and this one also has that same twist because these were drawn or made from the same piece. I want to make them a little more unique to each other, and I'll do that by clicking on these points and moving them. And another way I can make them less similar is to smooth out some of their point positions. I'll do the same thing on this shape here. Change the point positions by smoothing, using the smooth tool. There we go. So now it doesn't look so similar, and I like the overall smoothness. I think one thing I'll fix here is I don't really like that blob. That looks like a mistake to me, and I think later on when I make this into another type of artwork, such as a patch, I'm thinking of making this into a linoleum block print patch, it will be more to my liking. I like that better. All right, so here we go. And on this one, I'm now going to show you how to make the tentacles. Again, using the pen tool, I'm doing the same kind of a line, but I'll do it vertically. Click and drag down, click and drag, move the mouse, click and drag, left, move the mouse, click and drag, right, click and drag, left, click and drag, right, and move over a little. And here, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, and click, click, click. All right, so there's my tentacle, and I'll move it up a little bit. And I think this end here looks a little too flat. So what happens if I take the smooth tool and run it in a curve motion on the bottom? I'll do another one here, another movement. That looks great. And I'll duplicate this tentacle by clicking on it, pressing the Option key, and dragging it across to here. There's another tentacle. And I think I'll make this one shorter and even flip it over so it does not look identical or so identical, so similar to the original. Down, moving back to the regular selection tool, the black arrow tool. I'll click and drag, making this longer. Move this guy over and click, Option, click and drag. Move this one down, up. I think right here is a good spot. And I will lengthen this one as well. Lengthen. All right, so there are my jellyfish. The one last thing I want to do to make these a little more interesting looking, give them some depth, and I will give them depth in the following way. I'm going to select them both and make them both a dark gray color. Here's my palette. And there is my a little darker than medium gray color. And then I'm going to copy them, edit copy, and then paste them, edit paste in front. It doesn't look like I copied or pasted anything, but I did. And if I use the arrow keys on my keyboard, you can see the second set of jellies moving up. And for these, I will make them black. And so what you'll see here is a sense of dimensionality, which was the old school way of making a drop shadow. I think I want to make that less severe. For the intensity, instead of black, just make it a darker gray. And I'm happy with that. That'll work for now. I probably should mention that this top one is grouped, so it makes it really easy to click on it and move it into a slightly different position or make it wider, etc. And this bottom one, I'll click the top part of the jelly, hold the Shift key down, and click on the darker gray parts. Group this, Object, Group, and if I move it away here, I can just simply select this ungrouped one by clicking and dragging around it, going Object Group again, which the key command is Command G. Move this over here and do whatever modifications I want to do to it. And there are my jellies. In the next part of this tutorial, I will make a jellyfish pattern out of these drawn jellyfish. See you there.